The Dread Overlord might be my new favourite Necromancer in Baldur's Gate 3. The mod is incredible, so we're going to go over it level by level, combat tutorial, and items. So let's jump straight in. Now you'll see we get Wisdom saving throw proficiency, Charisma saving throw proficiency, Simple weapon proficiency, light armour, and we move forward into our cantrips. Now for this we're taking Eldritch Blast, and we're taking Minor Illusion. And the Dread Overlord. So you are your cultist fighting under the banner of the Dread Overlord, a monstrous, draconic necromancer who seeks to spread his maleficence and terror all over the lands. In return for your service, boundless power of death itself and the promise of eternal life await. To command the very souls of the dead and raise powerful, greater undead in his profane name. So this gives you Dread Cultist. So, proficient with flails, maces, scimitars, sickles, and shields, you may call upon the Dread Overlord's power to ignite your weapon with his dark fire, with the cantrip Necrotic Armaments at will. We get Forbidden Love, so your pact with the Dread Overlord has cursed you with the profane knowledge at +1 to any roll made with either Arcana or History. Fel Lore has taught you how to curse enemies harmed by necrotic damage from your cantrips, spells, and weapon attacks with Night of the Living Dead, dooming them to undeath. You also know how to create crawling claws from the corpses of humanoids and beasts. Invoker of Spirit Soul Harvest. You may harvest souls of the dead and bind them in the soul shield for protection, or evoke the spirit's wrath against your enemies. You can command the souls of the dead to surround you in a protective shield of souls, adding a +1 to your armor class until long rest. You may bind additional spirits to your soul shield with each commit corpse. Each one will add a +1 to your armor class. You may command the captured souls to do your bidding in combat, and when you have a captured soul available, you may invoke the Spirit of Spook to your enemies. Protect an ally for a ghostly apparition, or wield the Vengeful Phantasm to strike your enemies. Binder of Lost Souls. Your ability to inflict the Night of the Living Dead is limited by your current minion points, a maximum of 1. We get Scimitar proficiency, Mace proficiency, Sickle proficiency, as it said, as well as the cantrips you can see here. Now for the rest of this, we're going to take Inflict Wounds as a spell, and we're going to take Hex. And for a weapon, really you can take anything. I'm going to take the Skull Flail. Now for ability points, we're going to have 10 Strength, we're going to have 14 Dexterity to help with our Armor class and Initiative, 16 Constitution, 8 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, and 16 Charisma, as this is our spellcasting modifier and will be used for our weapon attacks. For each proficiencies, take whatever you feel like, but I would recommend Arcana and History. And that brings us to Warlock level 2. We get another spell at this point, and for this one, we're going to take Arms of Hadar. I think this is again another really great spell. You could also take Hellish Rebuke if you wanted to. And we get our first 2 Eldritch Invocations, and for this one, we're taking Agonizing Blast. This will add your Charisma modifier to your Eldritch Blast attack and its damage. And we'll take Repelling Blast. When you hit a creature with Eldritch Blast, you can push the creature up to 4.5 meters away from you. This is good for hitting enemies away from your backliners, like your wizards or your sorcerers, or using to hit them off of balconies and beams, hopefully causing full damage, possibly even killing them. Warlock level 3 brings you your Unholy Pacts. This is where we get to pick our pack, basically, for our Dread Overlord. Before that, we do get a spell, and for this one, we are going to take Mirror Image to just help boost our AC. 3 Illusioning Duplicates, have this and your Grim Harvest Shield, whatever it's called. Your AC is going to start going through the roof. And for our Pact boon, we are taking Pact of the Blade. The Pact of the Chain gives you a really cool little summon you can have. Pact of the Tomb is really good for spells and stuff. Pact of the Blade, summon a Pact weapon or bind the one you're wielding. They'll use your spell casting ability modifier instead of strength or dex, meaning we can bind our lovely mace here, and it's a nice unique weapon. In fact, if we can turn around, you'll see it looks pretty cool. Warlock level 4 brings you your first feat in this build, as well as more spells. We're going to start with Poison Spray, because I love Poison Spray. And for a spell here, we are going to take Misty Step. Might be handy if you need to bonus action your way out of danger, or if you just want to get to some sort of high ground. Now for your feat, ability score improvement, Charisma up to 18. And Warlock level 5 brings you a bunch more stuff. So with our Deepened Pact, as a Pact Blade holder, we get an extra attack with our weapon. Gain a new passive with our Eldritch Invocations, and we get Summoner of the Damned. You know the spell Animate Dead, which you may cast at will. Binder of Lost Souls, we now have minion points of a maximum of 2, which means we can create up to 4 Crawling Claws, 8 from beasts, whenever we cast Crawling Claws. We have a deepened pact, which means our healing from Vampiric Touch to pact weapons, which is awesome. And we get more spells, and for this one I would honestly take Spirit Guardians. I think it's phenomenal. If you're not going to take Spirit Guardians now, I would recommend the Hunger of Adar. This was on my top 10 list. Either way, I would take one of these at level 5 and one at level 6. For an Eldritch Invocation, we are going to take Fiendish Vigor to get the False Life and the temporary hit points. And that brings you to Warlock level 6. Improved Soul Harvest. You may harvest souls from dead and bind them into Improved Soul Shield for protection, we knew this. However, now, you may bind additional spirits to your Soul Shield from corpses with Commit Corpse or Reap the Dead. Each one will provide a +1, and basically it's just a bit more powered. You also gain Unholy Vigor, so we're resistant to necrotic damage. Imbuing your weapon with necrotic armaments fills your Unholy Vigor, making you immune to necrotic damage for a short time. Now for a spell here, as I said, we are going to take the Hunger of Adar. Amazing spell. You cast it, it's basically like Darkness, but on steroids. You cast this and creatures are blinded. They'll take damage, which is cold damage, when they start their turn in the Hunger of Adar, and if they end their turn in the Hunger of Adar, they'll take acid damage. This is perfect for just placing down, standing just on the edge, so they're still stuck in it if they're trying to fight you in melee. The area is difficult terrain, so they can struggle to get through it. This and things like Edvar's Black Tentacles combined, or Plant Growth, is phenomenal. Warlock level 7 brings you our Summoner of the Damned, so we gain the power to create undead such as Skeletal Warlock, by spending a Warlock spell slot once per long rest. In this case we get Army of the Dead, which means we can raise 2 additional minions, starting at level 7, which is what we are. Now what we can get is a Skeletal Warlock. This is an amazing Skeletal Warlock that can cast things like Chill Touch, Nail's Ray of Sickness at will, cast Ray of Enfeeblement, Scorching Ray, Sleep, all sorts of stuff. It's a really good sort of like battlefield controller while you have your army. Now for a spell here, we are going to take Blight. I think Blight's awesome. It's also necrotic based, 8 to 64 damage. You can't really go wrong. We get an Eldritch Invocation, and I love taking Book of Ancient Secrets here, just to have Ray of Sickness, Silence, and Chromatic Orb as spell slots. Warlock level 8 brings us our next feat, and Unholy Pacts improved. Blade Pact holders gain a +1 to attack rolls with their packed weapons, which is awesome. We gain more spells, and from this point we are going to take Phantasmal Killer, really nice psychic based spell that I think works so well in this build. For your feat, ability skill improvement, Charisma up to 20. Warlock level 9 brings you some of the Damned, Ghouls and Flying Ghouls. Binder of Lost Souls as well, so we now have 3 maximum minion points. So again, we can animate Dead for Ghouls and Flying Ghouls. And for a spell, we are going to take Cloud Kill because I love this spell. I think it fits the necrotic sort of necromancy theme. 5 to 40 damage, and it's a massive cloud of poison. You can reposition it every turn, and it's a huge damage dealer as long as you're maintaining concentration. For an Eldritch Invocation, I would take Minions of Chaos. Let's get another minion on the battlefield. Warlock level 10 brings you a new cantrip, and we can now summon a Skeletal Giant, which is awesome. We get Dark Empathy, so the dark tendrils emanating from your Shroud de Atnavestier, cannot say it properly, but I'm trying my best for you guys, may activate this Dark Empathy to increase this Vampiric Shroud's range and share half the vitality it drains from nearby enemies. Now what is this ability? Well, with a Vampiric Shroud that absorbs the vitality of nearby living enemies. Its dark tendrils inflict 1 to 6 necrotic damage and heal you for 1 to 6 points per turn. The Shroud persists until your next long rest. Affected enemies caught inside the Shroud continually bleed. Has no effect on undead and constructs, which means you can put your undead minions inside it and they'll be fine. We get another cantrip at this point, I would just take Mage Hand. And we get another spell, and honestly it's kind of dealer's choice here. There's really good options. I would take Hellish Rebuke if you want to. Warlock level 11, Summon of the Dead, the Spectral Horror. Summon into your service a Spectral Horror that devours light in combat. Once per turn it can spool Tendrils of Shadow to lash at enemies. As a Greater Undead, it has Turn Undead and Magic Resistance. It's awesome. We get another spell as well. For this one we are going to take Circle of Death. A huge, and I mean huge, Necromancy AoE. Downside to that, you could do a lot of friendly fire, so be warned. For a spell we are going to take Contagion. Again, another really nice Necromancy spell that allows you to poison the target. And Warlock level 12 brings us another passive and more spells. Now for this one, honestly, again, dealer's choice, take whatever you want. Let's just take Greater Invisibility, normal Invisibility. For an Eldritch Invocation, we are going to take Life Drinker. So attacks made with your pact weapon do an additional necrotic damage equal to your charisma modifier. And for a feat, now you could take Alert, or you could bump your ability score improvement up. You could even take something like Warcaster to have concentration advantage on the saving throws, but we're just going to take Alert to get our turn up. Now when it comes to your equipment, this is what we're going to go with. We're going to go with Birthright because we want that charisma +2 up to 22. Don't forget you can turn helmets off if you want, but who knows, maybe you like your Dread Overlord with the cowboy hat. For a cape or cloak, we're going to take the Cinnamoth cloak. So any creature that damages us within 2 meters will take burning. We're going to take the boots of genial striding, whereas movement speed is unimpeded by difficult terrain. We're going to take the graceful cloth, boost our dexterity by 2, so we can see we have 16 dexterity, and a +1 bonus to dexterity saving throws, and our jump distance has increased. For gloves, we're going to take the braces of defense, +2 bonus to armor class as long as you're not wearing armor or holding a shield, and we are not. For a ring, shifting corpus ring to give us a free use of invisibility and blur, really handy if we need to get out of danger and you don't want to use your spells for Misty Step. The burnished ring so we get Paralysing Ray, a great necromancy spell. The Spellcrux amulet to restore those spell slots, and of course our Skull Flail as our weapon. Now, as you can see, the Citadel armaments, instead of your usual weapon ability modifier, add your spellcasting ability modifier to attack rolls. So what are we going to do from here? Well, let's go find some combat and some enemies, and I'll show you how this build will work. Now I know for one, I've got a corpse over here, and we're just going to summon this dude here. Now see, you have your normal animate deads here, and you can get a lot of them. 7 targets if you want to. What we are going to do though, is come into here, and we're going to take our Skeletal Giant, and we're going to get him summoned while we can. Just like that. We're also going to just bind our pact weapon just in case. There we go. Now if you come into here, you'll see we come down here. Still 7 to 14 damage, it hasn't changed. But I like doing it just in case because it just doesn't cost anything.
You should know.
And we still have more options for us to summon in. So this time, let's summon our Spectral Horror. We'll get this.
You might have travelled with her for a time, but she
She
trained me.
Yeah, there you go.
What's your point?
So we've got a lovely little Spectral Horror. I thought you needed the corpse for it, you don't because I'm being stupid. And we also have other things. Now we could use our Conjure Elemental to get another minion, so why not? We'll get a Fire Elemental. Really get all the summons going here. And there's still more for us to take. Now,
Perhaps someone else made her that way.
we're going to do our Shield of Souls. This will last until long rest, and again is a class ability, so it will not use your spell slots. And this is what will boost your AC. So remember we had 15 AC, we now have 16. Alongside this, we have more summons we can do. The Skeletal Warlock. And we'll summon this one. There we go. Our little army is building. And if we run over here to just get the other corpse free, we can still summon our little ghostly hands. Great clawing claws. So we're only going to do this on one of them. We'll do this on the front one here. You says you can target 3, but I don't want to do that quite yet. Because you can get 2 per corpse doing this. Because what that means is I still have one more corpse I can show you our commit the corpse. Now this is how you add to your AC. So if we grab this enemy here, we have another one now with us, and our AC will be 17, as you can see there. A huge way to just keep boosting your AC up. So let's start this fight. Now you'll see we've got our Spectral Horror in first slot. We can come up here, we can do damage and cause frighten. It's awesome. It also has other abilities like Spawn Shadow Tendrils. So if we put that, and we'll just do it, say here. If you plan it right, as the Barbarian over here runs towards us, it should get stuck with this stuff. And there's still our Spellcaster, and again we have other class abilities. So, one of the best ones we have is the Shroud de Ateus Veus. And there you go, you'll see we got 4 life back, and necrotic damage on this enemy here, causing them bleeding and life drained. Now that was your whole ability, but what it means is as a bonus action, necrotic armaments. And now our damage type, if we come into our mace, as long as it shows, is now 10 to 26. And you see they're taking a lot of damage, necrotic and bleed. See, the lovely hands are just taking their turn. Okay, we have our Skeletal Warlock, and our Skeletal Warlock has all these spells available, as well as a ranged attack. So launch a ranged magical attack from your bone staff, and this is a bonus action. So we can target that, target this enemy here. 7 damage, but 7 damage is pretty good. And then as a Scorching Ray, there you go. We also have our Fire Elemental, which is incredible, because this thing does great damage. 26 on the enemy here, and it can Elemental Warp to other places, such as up here. Now the hands, as you can see, they do control themselves, but they do great damage when they hit. And they have a pretty good AC to start missing things. And then that leaves our amazing giant down here. And this thing hits very hard. Multiple attacks around just like that, causes enemies to be pushed back too, and we can even do a brutal leap. So if we were to leap, say, up here, as he decides to climb, there you go. Unfortunately I did save, but you get the gist of it. You can leap and hopefully cause damage that way. Now we're back to our lovely little Shroud of Darkness, and again with these enemies you can start chasing things down. This one can even fly to help you really get around, so we can come up here and start tackling the ranged characters, just like that. 14 damage is insane. And of course we are a spellcaster, so we can still do our Eldritch Blast. But let's come in here and I'll show you our new improved damage. You see, because they're on the floor, we get those crits, and just insane. We still have Reclaim Undead, so we can start mimicking this. We can even do things like Hex if we want to concentrate on more damage, but you get the gist. And again, we're back to our Skeletal Warlord, who can just do these spells as much as they want. We can do a Ray of Sickness on the enemy here, and poison them this time. That still leaves up our bonus action for a Corrupted range attack, which unfortunately missed. And again, we're so versatile on the battlefield, we can just get around like crazy. And we have so many good options that can hit as hard as they can. See, the enemy's taking poison and bleed thanks to being stuck here. And once again, the hands kind of do their own thing, but they have a pretty good damage output, and the amount of them you can get is insane. And the same goes for all of these things. We've got a lovely dude up here who can just do crazy attacks. We even have a Grim Cleave, we've got multi-attack, so if you want to start trying to do attacks like that, you see just how much damage we did. And again, we also have our Brutal Leap, which means we could come down here, and we caused 4 damage to the enemy. And again, because most things have fly, the maneuverability is crazy. We've come all the way off the top of the rooftop, and we're here, ready to strike for another 15 damage. Now with your Tendril of Darkness, you can pull the enemy into the dark if you can reach them. We unfortunately are just out of range, so we can't, but you'd literally just pull the enemy towards you. It's a really cool ability. Okay, we're back to our Spellcaster. Obviously, what's one of the key benefits of this is, of course, Eldritch Blast, which does crazy damage too. And because of that, obviously we have all our things here, but what it means is that we can do things like commit corpse, and we can come here, we have another one, and if we come into here, our AC is now 18. And Skeletal Warlock once again can just stay at the back and just throw out some Scorching Rays, just like that. As well as our lovely ranged option, we could target this one potentially. It's only 40%, but there you go, got a nice little crit. And once again, we have another thing that can just move around, so we can warp all the way down here with our bonus action, and then we're ready to be here and start swinging for the fences. You see the hands doing their thing. Unfortunately, we are against a rogue, and they're as tricky as you'd expect. But again, we can come in here with our Gigantuan Strike if we want. We can do a Glaring Threat. We can do another Brutal Leap if you really wanted to. Grim Cleave. We're going to do another multi-attack on this enemy here. And there you go. And that means we can do a normal attack as well. And again, it's as simple as this. Just lots of minions to smack hard that have a lot of status effects. And of course, we still have the ability, when we need to frontline and run in, life drain, and smack with our lovely mace. And as you see, because we killed them with the necrotic and poison and all that fun stuff, we have another minion. Our army just keeps growing. Now, the fight is over, so what we can do is we can use our abilities. We can come back in here and commit more corpses. So let's commit this one. And if we come in here, AC is now 19. We can come over to the top, potentially if we can reach up here. I'm not entirely sure. Sadly not. Let's try and grab some of these corpses. So we'll commit this one. Empowered Soul Shield, which means our maximum is 19 AC. But overall, boosted that AC. And then even further, let's say we're going into the next combat. Well, you'll see we used one spell slot. If you were to short rest, Warlocks regain all their spell slots, and we kept our minions as well as their health pools, which is awesome. Which means in the next combat, if you wanted to, you could start off with a lovely mirror image. And now you have an AC of 28 for 10 turns. So I really hope you have enjoyed the Dread Overlord. It's so much fun. This works so well if you also have like a Necromancy Wizard. With the like Staff of Cherished Necromancy, you can just have a minion army everywhere, and it's so much fun. You can just swarm the battlefield so enemies can't do anything. If you have enjoyed, please let me know in the comments what you would do differently. Any other items? Would you do a different pact? All that fun stuff. If you have, please subscribe to the channel for more. It helps me tremendously, and we have more guides for things like Dragon Age to Belgard, Path of Exile 2, as well as build guides for all of the above. Regardless, I generally do hope you have enjoyed this, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.